Quick question.
Yeah.
Do the Republicans realize how embarrassing it was when they went through those 5 rounds and how humiliating it was, I think, for the country, and how embarrassing it was globally that we couldn't pick a speaker for all those weeks after McCarthy was ousted? Do they fully understand that? So these are the same people they were holding out last time.
Exactly, they do. I mean, remember the first time with Kevin McCarthy, the House was frozen for 5 days. Then again, it was frozen for 3 weeks. And around that time, that's when Israel was attacked by Hamas. So there were things happening around the world that required the House to take action on the floor. And we're entering into this new administration. President-elect Trump is down in Mar-a-Lago. He's got a lot of things that he wants to take care of day one. Not to mention, they've got to certify the election on January 6th. So they can't do that if there is no House. The House cannot function without a speaker. So in a few hours here, there will be no Speaker Mike Johnson. There will be nobody that will be able to get the House's work done until Republicans can come together. And they all have to come together because Democrats will not be helping them today.
The latest potential clown show in Congress over yet another vote for Speaker of the House is happening right now. And it might actually even already be over without the drama. But to answer Brian Kilmeade's question a little further, no one really knows if House Republicans remember how bad they looked when they ousted their own speaker and froze congressional work to name a new one as they prepare to make Mike Johnson sweat before leading the new Congress.
If Chip Roy were asked to serve as chairman of the Rules Committee, would that be enough to get your vote for Mike Johnson?
Oh, no. You can pull all my fingernails out. You can shove bamboo up in them. You can start cutting off my fingers. I am not voting for Mike Johnson tomorrow. And you can take that to the bank.
So Thomas Massie went on that Creepy Guys news show to make it pretty clear that he'll be a no vote in an atmosphere where Johnson can't lose much of anyone else.
Hey, it's Scott McFarlane at the Capitol. Did you ever have people over for dinner, but more people came than you expected and you didn't have quite enough food, so every biscuit that gets eaten kind of raises your blood pressure? Or if you're a football bettor and you bet the under on the big game, every field goal and touchdown raises your blood pressure a little bit. That's kind of, roughly, the dynamic for Mike Johnson as he seeks to become the House Speaker again today. He has a tiny little majority and an even tinier margin for error. So every vote, as they do the roll call alphabetically today, could raise his blood pressure. The math's pretty simple. Mike Johnson can lose just one Republican vote and remain the House Speaker despite having Donald Trump's endorsement, despite Donald Trump having a lot riding on this.
And unless someone comes up with a new torture method that Massie hasn't floated yet, he's obviously going to be that one vote against Johnson. Chip Roy was solidly against him as well, but after reports of Donald Trump directly reaching out to him, who knows what he was told or promised.
Some of the other wild cards simply won't commit. They kept reaffirming, even after exiting Johnson's office late last night to us, that they're uncommitted or undecided. So watch the letters for the last names. Chip Roy of Texas votes near the end, uncommitted. Ralph Norman, near the middle, from South Carolina, still uncommitted. Earlier in the alphabet, there's Andy Harris. There's also later Victoria Spartz of Indiana. But each vote happens painstakingly slow. So just like the person with too many people at dinner or the football bettor who decided to be conservative and bet the under, the blood pressure will rise when this begins.
Considering the fact that Donald Trump's election win won't be certified if there's no speaker, he's also been working to convince any shaky Republicans and supporters that he's all in for Johnson. Good luck today for Speaker Mike Johnson, a fine man of great ability who's very close to having 100% support. A win for Mike today will be a big win for the Republican Party and yet another acknowledgement of our 129-year most consequential presidential election. A big affirmation indeed. MAGA. Trump and Musk weren't overjoyed about Mike Johnson after the spending bill that they interfered with didn't completely go their way. But when it comes to taking power, Trump seems to be willing to put his revenge aside for now. But it is the same problem that his favorite anchors are voicing for him as well.
Many of us agree with the spirit of the debate of regular order, but it lacks strategy in the long run. And I think that's the problem.
think it lacks strategy and also substance, frankly. And that's my whole issue with this. And we've been talking about it all morning, that the purpose is to legislate, and you cannot get anything done without this pre-game ritual. This is not the time to demonstrate petulance or some type of power over the will-be speaker-elect in a couple hours. I mean, the reality is we are depending on you to get to work. We talked about ad nauseum the mandate the American people have levied on this particular Congress, on this particular government, as to the refreshing new insight that we need, the refreshing, the new breath of fresh air that we need.
They were so stressed out this morning that Brian Kilmeade couldn't even keep track of who the no votes were, or if they were even in a position to affect the vote at all. So anyway, today's vote could result in a weeks-long disaster or simply a close call where the drama and anxiety only lasts for about a vote or two.
Well, I got bad news. Congressman Bob Good just tweeted out he will not be voting for Mike Johnson.
Well, remember, Brian, Bob Good has left, so I don't is maybe there's some other name, but Bob Good is
Oh, can we check that?
Yeah.
Or are you saying
yes.
that?
Bob Good lost that close primary back in that Virginia seat. John McGuire is the new member there. John will be voting for Mike Johnson for Speaker. So I think it's still just Thomas Massie indicated he won't support the Speaker, but I'm hopeful that everyone else will.
All right, good point. He's not there anymore, so I shouldn't have brought that up. My bad. But he put that out, evidently.